Game Breaker TV.
What's up, everybody? It's Thursday. It's Legendary. Episode 110 for January 10th, 2013. I'm Gary again. You're watching Game Breaker. Coming up tonight. Looking for the fastest way to clear 14 raids. Try stopping at level 80. Ghostcrawler talks a bit about Blizzard's plans for loot in patch 5.2. And is Blizzard ripping off more ideas from other MMOs? Of course they are. All that and more, but first, from WoW Insider and Gamebreaker TV, host of Chat Bubbles, as well as here on Legendary, the one and the only Olivia D. Grace. How are you, Liv?
I'm good, thank you, Gary. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. It's Thursday night, ready for the Legendaries.
It's a Thursday night. It's all about the Legendary on a Thursday night.
And as always, the show would not be 20 minutes late without him, Josh Allen.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Listen, it wasn't entirely my fault this time. It was only mostly my fault this time.
What percentage your fault?
Gandalf's just like, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, Josh. Whatever.
Winter
Had it all
Storm
before.
Gandalf or whatever.
All right, let's get into it. There's a long show ahead. Lots and lots of crap to cover. So, first up, the big news of the week is that a level 80 paladin, that's right, level 80, has been soloing bosses in Mogashan vaults. Let's just stop right here. And Olivia, you covered this on Gamebreaker. How the heck is a level 80 clearing content by himself that was actually designed for a full raid team of level 90s?
Good question. Well, I mean, first and foremost, one of the things which a lot of people have been commenting on these articles is how does a level 80 even get into a level 90 raid? And the answer is quite simple. You just send a level 90 in first.
Wow.
And you're done. That's it. That easy.
Working as intended.
Working as intended. And then it's kind of a crazy combination of what they are now referring to as a bug with a tank specific passive called Vengeance, and some kind of cunning gearing using high item level MOP blues and greens.
And by cunning, you mean, oh, this item only has a level restriction of 80.
80!
I will put this on my dude. Yeah.
Exactly. But there's, I mean, if you look at the guy's armory, I will link it in the article below for those of you who are watching on the site. You can see that he's really in a mixture. He's not in plate. He's in some mail. He's got some crazy, it's Faust on one of the EU servers. I can't remember the actual one. But he's got a real mixture of stuff. It's not just plate items that he's wearing. So he's literally just shot for the eye level to get the stats up as high as possible. And with Josh Allen's amazing math skills, I'm sure he can tell us a bunch more about the scaling. But
So basically the way Vengeance works is when you're a tank and you take damage, or you would have taken damage in any sort of situation where a boss attacks a tank, you stack up something called Vengeance. And it's kind of a weird mechanic. Most people kind of know it exists, but not really sure exactly how it works. But it basically just means that you get more and more and more attack power based on how hard you're getting hit. Yeah. So seeing as how this guy is level 80, obviously, also not wearing plate and doesn't have a ton of health to begin with.
Yep.
Anything that would have actually hit this guy it would have immediately just killed him. But aside from that, it stacks up a lot of Vengeance because it would have been a really, really big hit. So what he was able to do is just say, okay, well, I can run in there. I can mitigate the first hit with like a divine shield or something like that if I really have to. Like I can go in there because as long as it would have hit you, it doesn't matter what you use otherwise.
Yeah.
As long as it would have hit you. And I'm not completely certain on how exactly he was surviving the first couple of hits, but as soon as he gets that first initial burst of vengeance, he can put up Sacred Shield on himself, which scales based on attack power if your protection, which was then absorbing like 2 million damage.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you see his attack power? Did you see his attack power on the video was converting to, the Avengers was converting to between 2 and 2.5 million attack power. Million attack power! Yeah,
exactly.
Paladin power!
You know, you got to say to Blizzard on that. Derp.
Exactly.
Oh, and of course, as you would expect in true internet forum, this took place. The internet explodes like it does. As always, people demanding things on the internet like a fix. Can't imagine why they would want that.
The guy himself actually said on his first... He also killed the Stone Guard, which is the first boss in Mogoshan Vault, as I'm sure you're all aware. He couldn't get Fang down, but he got Fang to 6.8%. Again, we're talking by himself with all of the, what's the ability called? The thing that he does, the earthquake thing and everything. With all of that, he got Fang down to 6.8%. He couldn't do Garage Owl, presumably couldn't do Spirit Kings, but managed to get Elegon down. And on his Spirit King, his Stone Guard kill video, he just put, the whole title was just, "Fix this, please."
Yeah. Well, like the issue wasn't so much like that he could solo content, because honestly, and I ended up talking about this in PST too, is like if he can solo bosses that all these, like he could solo Stone Guard, he could solo Fang. I believe it was actually possible to do it. He just didn't manage to pull it off in the video. Great. You get stuck on Garajal anyway because you need to have more people there. The problem wasn't, and the same thing would happen with the first boss in Heart of Fear too. The problem wasn't so much that he could solo things. It was that you could bring in 10 other people or 9 other people, and they would just basically get free gear at that point. Like it was, you could theoretically just have a level 80 paladin as your main tank and never have to worry about any mechanics at all ever.
Yeah.
So
presumably, and presumably this would also have worked. This isn't I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I don't think this is a paladin exclusive thing, because we had a Lobin, the level 80 DK, who was able to take down Balrog. Would a DK be able to do this?
I'm not actually 100% sure. It might be possible with Blood Shield. The thing that made it work as a paladin was Sacred Shield, the talent, which just is, it's like an auto casting.
Because of how it stacks off vengeance. Right,
and it's just a bubble that automatically recasts itself every, I believe it's 6 seconds. It recasts itself, it gets faster with haste. And that bubble was absorbing like millions of damage.
He was also saying that his Seal of Insight was proccing for more than 5 times his health pool every time it procced.
Right, but that doesn't actually matter. Like when you think about it, the Seal of Insight proccing for 5 million doesn't actually matter too much when anything that hits you at all will kill you anyway because you have 100,000 health. But it was definitely something that you could look at and go, well, maybe right now it's not an issue, but it could potentially become an issue later on.
Definitely going into one of the funniest sort of, it's not an exploit really, I guess, it's just an oversight.
It's completely 100% working how it's supposed to be.
It was working as it used to be intended.
Until they eventually did roll out a hotfix. Of course, the Blizzard pushed out a hotfix now, so it's limiting the vengeance. What is it that you can gain to your maximum? So what is it now? So level 80 is, what is it, capped at like 100,000?
Yeah, it depends on how much your maximum health could get to. In the video, the guy had 105,000 health. So that means he can now get a maximum of 105,000 vengeance instead of the millions he was getting before.
Yeah, substantially less than 2.5 million.
Yeah, so no more Sacred Shield bubbles that absorb the entirety of the entire fight's damage. Yeah.
So after this patch, is that pretty much it, or is everything cleared up? I mean, case closed?
Pretty much, yeah. It could still theoretically be possible for like the Death Knight that Olivia mentioned a minute ago to go back and solo Balrog, because the issue there wasn't so much vengeance as it was the fact that he had 100% dodge and parry chance, so the Balrog actually just was incapable of hitting him. I believe stuff like that is still possible, but that's like old content that it literally has to be a fight that does not do anything other than melee the tank. Anything like Stone Guard, Garajal, Fang, etc. Anything that has any sort of other raid damage is no longer going to be soloable, which is every encounter nowadays. So
how about level 90 tanks? Is the limitation going to have any effect on legitimate level 90s?
We may end up seeing a little bit of a hit on some fights where it was already kind of like, oh, huge tank damage on this fight, so that vengeance scales way out of control. But honestly, this is probably kind of a good fix for game balance in that cases too, because it was sort of causing this weird sort of differential between a 25-man tank's damage and a 10-man tank's damage. Because in 10-man, damage is a lot lower. I don't think a 10-man tank is going to see any major change from this, because I mean, you've got what, 500,000, 600,000 health as a tank nowadays with you know, around like 490 item level gear or so. So that's still a lot of attack power to get out of vengeance. I don't think a 10-man tank is going to see a difference. We might see a difference on some 25-man encounters where the bosses just generally hit harder, but it's not going to be a huge one either way. And all it's really going to do is maybe rein in so that the tank isn't number one on the DPS meters in certain 25-man encounters anymore.
The interesting thing for me to see Sorry, Gary, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, the interesting thing for me might be to see if other people who are at lower levels are able to work with this gear scaling thing. So not tanks so much as, and probably not healers either, but DPS. Like, would it be possible for a level 85 or an 80 warlock to use some of this this Pandaria gear to get their DPS up to the point where they could be competitive within level 90 raids? So not the sort of vengeance thing, but the gear scaling. Would that still be viable?
It's still, like, it'll make you do more damage, but, like, at the very least, you're missing out on your level 90 talent. Nobody's ever going to look and say, oh, well, here's a level 85 Warlock, but he's got, you know, item level 463 gear, so we're going to take him over the level 90 Warlock that's been running Raid Finder. Now, you're not going to be able to get to the point where you actually, like, just straight up outgear people. And I kind of do like the BOE blues that are a little bit higher item level. I do kind of like, it's just kind of a neat thing to add into the game to help beef up your alts a little bit without being like a full-on heirloom or something like that. I don't know, I kind of like it.
You see any guilds using this as a tactic? Maybe as like, you know, hey, just
I wish I had. I wish this guy had dragged his whole guild through Elegon. Like a whole group of 80s just cowering in the corner, hoping Elegon doesn't hit them.
Yeah, that was kind of the concern, is people are only really using this to solo stuff right now, but what happens if they bring this guy to Garelon and just never have to worry about the tank dying ever? Or never have to worry about changing like kite orders or anything? I don't know. It was something that I could see the concern, as time went on. It hadn't really become a problem yet, but it was something that Blizzard decided they needed to step in and say, okay, yeah, this could get out of hand. Let's fix this.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got some patch 5.2 news. Ghostcrawler had a few things to say on Twitter about loot in 5.2. So first of all, I think a lot of you guys were worried about having to tier up through tier 14 LFR just to do tier 15 raids. They will actually be increasing LFR drop rates for tier 14 in patch 5.2, according to GC. So does this like alleviate all the concerns that people have about this need to catch up?
It helps for sure. I think a lot of people right now are just sort of like, there are people who aren't worried about catching up because they've gotten lucky in LFR. There are people who are completely worried about having to catch up because they haven't gotten lucky in LFR. So there's that bit of a random element to it that I think that's the majority of the people who are concerned at the moment, is looking at this and going, okay, well, what if it takes me another 6 months to get myself geared up enough in LFR to be able to, am I just never going to be able to do tier 15 raids? So I think that'll help for sure if they bump up the drop rate on items. As like it's a previous tier at that point. It's no longer current tier content. So bumping up the drop rate, that just kind of makes sense a little bit. It still like it gives them an element of a catch-up mechanic without saying you can just completely and totally skip this content.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think for people like Josh, it's fine. People like Josh Allen who get their 4 set through LFR in like a month. They've already got no problem with that. 2 days. Shut up, Josh Allen.
I ran it on Monday night, got 3 pieces, and I was like, man, I really wish I'd gotten my 4 pieces. That happened, went in the next day and got it right away. So yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got people like me who've I finally got a tier piece for my shaman. Tier shoulders. Yeah. What are we now? Like 4? No.
It's been like
4 months.
4 months since.
4.5 months. 1 tier piece.
Any insight on how much they possibly increased the drop rate by? Or any speculation? Have they
100%, 300%, 800%.
Just spit out numbers. One of
no
them.
whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Just increase. Go.
Increase.
I'm betting it'll probably be enough that we'll get to the point where I went a week without a drop in LFR is extremely rare. I don't anticipate, like, I'm sure it'll be less than a lot of people are hoping. I'm sure it will be less than I ran LFR 1 week and got all of my gear.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many gear slots are there and how many bosses are there?
Yeah, exactly. That's actually the same number. It's
Dun,
it's
dun, dun.
Get a piece of gear off of every single boss there. Now everything is set.
Done. One run through the entire of LFR and you are geared.
Man, I can't remember. I think
no, I'm having
slots.
a crisis of confidence now as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Chat room will correct me.
Chat room knows.
But yeah, I think it'll certainly help things quite a bit. As far as the drop, I imagine like doubling the drop rate would probably be a good way to go about it, and say, well, maybe before you had a 10% chance, now you've got a 20% chance. That'll be like a 20% chance to get loot off of a piece of off of a boss means you're going to see a lot of loot dropping, and I think it'll clear things up for people a lot, and it'll probably help alleviate a lot of the concerns that people just been saying about the LFR system in general, saying, oh, loot never drops in LFR, the drop rate is too low in LFR. If you go through a whole bunch, like you go through an entire tier of loot dropping like crazy, it's going to be really, really hard for you to turn around and say, well, loot doesn't drop enough in LFR. Yeah. It just doesn't. The new loot system's bad.
Olivia, how do you feel about tier 14 normal and heroics? Do you think that this should apply as well over there, or?
So, as in, I guess, thinking like, bosses drop an increased quantity of loot.
Sure.
Or, I don't know how else they could do it. I suppose they could guarantee something with the lucky charm, the whatever it's called. That they could guarantee something with that. But yeah, like a 10-man boss always drops 3 pieces as a minimum, or 25-man drop boss is like equivalent amounts, just to bump it up a little bit. I think that would help. Because I can imagine people in guilds, obviously, like the item level for the raid finder, hopefully it will tally up so that you don't have to then you don't have to go raid finder, normal, and then raid finder. So hopefully it'll go raid finder, normal, with the normal 5.2 raid on the top there.
Yeah, I imagine.
If it doesn't, I'm hoping that that's going to be the case. I'd be very surprised if that wasn't. But I don't know, maybe the raid finder will just fix it all by itself in that case. Maybe it won't be a problem.
I do think it'd be kind of weird if it was like way easier to gear up in Raid Finder than it was in a normal raid, because then like that just kind of means that nobody would ever run normal raids anymore of the tier
previous tier.
Yeah, I do think it would be kind of nice to bump that gear up too, just to kind of give a little bit of incentive to say, yeah, you know what, if maybe it's not ideal, maybe you don't have to go back and do this, but if you want to, then you can do that. It'll help you gear up a little bit faster. I could still see guilds saying, well, we're just starting out. We want to get into tier 15 raids as fast as possible, but we're not geared up enough yet. It would be a good way to help them get up there faster by allowing them to organize these teams to actually go in and clear the tier 14 raids and just gear up quicker through that. I think it'd be a good idea to bump those up as well.
And what about for those who don't have the lucky hand of Josh Allen over here? Because they're
the lucky hand of Josh Allen.
They don't matter.
Show us your lucky hand, Josh.
Because they're going to increase the drop rate, right? But it's still going to be completely random loot, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
so
you could have a friend of mine who's in this situation where she's had the same thing 4 times. Awesome.
Right. So then you could still just be taking forever. Olivia's going to be trying to gear up for like the next 7 months.
Forever.
I think there are new Valor pieces coming in 5.2. I don't know that we've seen them yet on the PTR, but I think the plan is to introduce new Valor pieces at some point. So you can just spend Valor and get like an item level 502 or something like that. Obviously, the Valor upgrade system will help with that too, because then you can at least upgrade the pieces that do drop for you. Maybe you can't get a full set of gear, but you can take the couple of 483s that you've got and bump those up to, what would that be, 491. And then you're at that point you should be geared enough to be able to step into the tier 15 raid finder. I think there's enough extra stuff in there. Plus, assuming that they also increase the drop rate on the lucky charms to go along with it. I think it'll be possible to just be extremely ridiculously unlucky and never get a drop ever. but it'll be so ridiculously rare that ever happens that it probably just won't happen. As long as you're doing stuff, you should be able to gear yourself up.
Yeah, it seems reasonable.
Get to doing stuff, Olivia.
Shut up, God!
Do your dailies, Olivia. Do your dailies.
Shut up!
Do them.
No!
What do you guys think is what do you think is going to happen for future tiers? I mean, I think we can all assume that they'll bump up tier 15 LFR drops when 16 drops. Do you think that they'll increase 14 even more at that point?
I guess it depends on how much they bump up tier 14 to begin with. Because if they bump it up enough that it only takes you like 3 or 4 weeks to get through tier 14 and you're geared enough to move on, then they probably don't need to accelerate that anymore. But if it is something where they're still saying, you know what, maybe we still want people to spend a couple of months running this before they can get into the next tier and still have a longer amount of time. Honestly, I think a couple of months would be a bit too long to expect.
I was going to say, yeah, God, I hope they don't. My immediate reaction was, God, I hope they don't do that.
Well, yeah, for sure. But if it's only like 2 or 3 weeks, and then you're like, as long as you're doing enough stuff to, like, you're doing everything, you're running all the different LFRs, if it's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, we'll say, then there probably won't be a huge need to bump up tier 14 again when tier 16 drops. They'll just be able to say, okay, you spend 3 or 4 weeks on this, then you move on. Then you spend 3 or 4 weeks on this, then you move on, and now you're caught up. I think that would probably be acceptable. A lot of people will say, oh, it's going to take me 2 months to get it to tier 16 raids, but at the same time, it means that you've done all this other content that you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to, personally at least, from an alt perspective, kind of looking forward to getting a new alt at the max level towards the end of the expansion and going, man, I get to go run tier 14 again, because by the time that rolls around, I'm going to be ready for more tier 14. I'll be tired of tier 16 at that point. I don't want to do that right now. I'm doing that already on my main.
That's totally true. And one of the things that I really sort of resented in Cataclysm was not going back to the first raid tier of Cataclysm. Because quite apart from anything else, in Cataclysm, it was, in my opinion, the best raid tier. And it was, it had all the fun bosses in it, had all the, not all of them, but most of the fun fights in it. And it was, well, my favorite raid tier. It's all subjective, guys. Don't freak out.
No, but you're actually factually correct. Like,
I'm factually correct. I'm objectively correct.
No, that's actually just fact. Tier 11 was the
sorry,
best
my apologies. Let's get this straight. Tier 11 was the best one. Yeah, we completely abandoned it. And there was no point. Like, the 5-mans gave better gear than that. So why would you even bother going back there and visiting poor old Magmore alone in his cave with his chains and his friends? Poor Magmore. But yeah, it was a real shame that we didn't go back and left him all alone.
By the way, chat room is absolutely demanding that lore be in pigtails. So I'm hoping that somehow that
I'm sorry,
can
lore.
happen. Because
there you go.
You can find something and make that happen.
You can see that my background's too dark.
Exactly.
Awesome.
No contrast.
So there's an issue. You wouldn't even be able to see the pigtails anyway. Chat room.
Yeah, chat room. You just need to lean across over your StarCraft Ghost picture, and then we would be able to see them.
Yeah. I feel like it's gotten closer. I feel like it's gotten closer to the camera since the last episode. It's like he's pushing it more into the frame, subliminally telling Blizzard it must happen. It must be Ghost.
The Ghost logo is going to be here.
Greg also talked.
It's just on my lap.
Yeah, you're just
no
holding
Josh
it
Allen
up.
at all. It was just
a picture of Ghost. So Greg also talked about their plans for Valor upgrades in 5.2. He had this to say, he said, our plan at the moment is upgrading only for patches without a new raid/PvP tier. That design could change. It's a new design, and like most, will likely need some iteration before everyone is happy with it. It's kind of crazy. I mean, at the very least, it's sounding like they're not planning on letting you upgrade your 5.2 drops with Valor at least until 5.3 hits, right? What's the reasoning behind this? Why not just let players immediately upgrade new items?
I think there's some concern about what that would come to expect out of people. It would pretty easily lead into, okay, well, you have to keep a bank of 3,000 Valor just in case you get a drop, so that as soon as you get that drop, then you can upgrade it. Like that would kind of lead people into, and the people would be a bit worried about using their Valor right away. Is like, oh, well, what if I get I'm running LFR this week, and I just got my tier piece from LFR. But what if I get one in the regular raid on Thursday? Do I want to upgrade this piece, or do I want to wait? Right when a tier drops, people replace gear like crazy. I think it would be kind of messy to allow people right away to upgrade their items, because you'd have so many people saying, "Well, this item dropped, I upgraded it." Because like a weapon dropped for me in LFR. You kind of always want to upgrade your weapon right away because it's a huge upgrade to do that. But then I got another one in the normal raid the next day, like put in a support ticket. Blizzard, I want my Valor back.
Yeah, I want my Valor back.
Yeah. I think it is kind of a good thing to say, you know what, we're not gonna let you do that immediately. You can spend your Valor on upgrading your old pieces. You can spend your Valor on pieces of gear, because God knows there's a million different things to spend Valor on nowadays. But we're not going to let you upgrade items with it right away. You can spend that on other things, but not the new items that drop. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I can see the reasoning behind it, definitely. My complaint is, of course, that it means that for yet another patch, I'm going to have nothing to spend my Valor on. Because the only thing I can spend it on is the stuff that doesn't require rep grinds. So, yeah.
Well, how
you can still upgrade the old pieces, too, is the thing. Like,
yeah, that's true.
And I remember we were mathing out a while back. Excuse me, that was going to take like 5 months to actually upgrade all of your slots. So chances are good that most people will not be done with that.
A reasonable observation, Josh Allen. A reasonable observation.
I think one good thing too, Olivia, is the current patch cycle is getting a lot shorter. So I mean, how long do we really have to wait? A few months, maybe? What do you think?
I didn't even manage to cap out Valor. I didn't even manage to hit the hard cap on Valor before patch 5.2 came around. Sorry, 5.1. So I don't think it's a huge deal. It's going to be fine. It's like, I was just thinking back though to those poor souls in the Raid Finder who like trying to gear that alt up, and they've got all the Raid Finder drops, and then they're trying to upgrade their other stuff. They're going to have to be doing a ton of Valor grinding to get all that stuff ready for the next tier. Fun.
Well, I mean, it's a ton of Valor grinding, but most like serious, like, I don't want to say most, because a lot of people just kind of said, you know what, I'm never going to be able to finish all this stuff anyway, so I'm not going to do it. But I think a lot of people right now are capping Valor every week anyway, so it doesn't seem like, And when this drops, pretty much no matter what, you're going to end up having at least some semblance of, like, okay, I was looking at this, if we say it's going to be 2 months from 5.2 to 5.3, like it was with 5.0 to 5.1, then that is 8 weeks of Valor. 8,000 Valor total, meaning that, just doing random math here, means that you're only going to actually spend about 5 weeks of actually spending Valor on anything else anyway, because you're going to want to have a bank of 3,000 Valor going into patch 5.3. Okay, are you caught up? I'll continue.
Got that.
You're gonna want a bank of 3,000 Valor going into patch 5.3 anyway, just so that you can then immediately upgrade as many of your higher item level items as possible. So it pretty much just means that it's 5 weeks of waiting around, 3 weeks of getting Valor up, and then
Was that five weeks of waiting around? Yeah.
5 weeks, Josh.
Okay, I got it.
Do you guys think that do you think 5.3 might be too early to allow the upgrades? I mean, should they just wait until the entirely until the next tier is available?
There's a lot of arguments for that, because it comes down to the question of, do we want people feeling the need to cap Valor every week? Is that something that people should be feeling like they need to do every week? Personally, I like the feeling of you need to cap Valor every week. I just think it's been too difficult to actually hit that cap so far. I like the idea of there's constantly a use for your Valor as a raider as time goes on. There's constantly, because like at the end of Cataclysm, I had 20,000 Valor. I had no use for it. Like, I could be turning it into BOEs and trying to sell those.
Putting it on the auction house, exactly.
Yeah, that was enough of a pain that I just said, whatever. I'll just wait until they convert it into gold when the Stipendiary comes out anyway. And I had 20,000 freaking Valor because there was no use for it. So I like the idea of constantly having, like, constantly getting something. I'm always getting something, and there's always some item that I can be upgrading. I like that idea. But I just think it's been too much of a pain in the ass to actually hit the cap so far. I would like to see that They did bump up the Valor dropping off the bosses. I would like to see that go up a little bit more still. Just
Yeah,
because they're not running
sure.
LFR right now. It's kind of a pain.
This was like a slap in the face before, and now it's still just kind of like a slap in a slightly less offensive area, like a slap on the arm or something. I don't know. But yeah, exactly. And I think it's good to have always something that people can be striving towards. Like we were talking about this last week about incremental progression. And it's good for the people who have been capping out Valor every week should feel that they're getting somewhere, that they're actually being rewarded for their huge efforts. But it really, like, I know we say this every time. Every time I say, you can earn Conquest so much faster than you can earn Valor, and Josh says, but that's the only way that PvPers can get gear. And I say, I know, but really 40 Valor for a raid boss.
Yeah.
It's 180 Conquest for winning an arena, 40 Valor from a raid boss.
Are you guys starting to think we've been talking about the Valor changes like for a while and all the things that Blizzard have been doing, and it seems like they just keep making these big sweeping changes to how the whole system works. You're starting to get the feeling they just have no idea really how to make Valor work.
It is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've taken such a huge step back from the Cataclysm situation of everything being a little bit too easy. Like you run your 7 heroics for the week and you're kind of done. Like that was pretty much enough, although it wasn't quite your cap. It was pretty much enough. And I think they've taken such a huge step back from that. It's like a pendulum swing in the opposite direction. And they need to kind of settle it in the middle a bit. And it's gone, for me personally, and again, this might just be me, it's gone a little bit too far in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I think I kind of get the impression that there was actually like, okay, so back at the Mists of Pandaria press event, way back in March of last year, which was almost a year ago now, actually, now that I think about it, which seems nuts. It's been a fast year. But back at the Mists of Pandaria press event, I was talking to Ghostcrawler, and he said, oh yeah, we're just not going to have Valor gear in Mists of Pandaria, we're just going to have the Valor upgrade system. And then Mists of Pandaria rolls around, and there's still Valor gear. I kind of get the impression at some point that they said, you know what, let's still have the gear, but then they also have this Valor upgrade system. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we have these two systems that both work kind of the same way, and one of them's going to be better than the other no matter what. Like, no matter which way you slice it, one of those ways to spend your Valor is going to be better. It does make one of those systems seem kind of redundant to me at this point. So I kind of do feel like maybe they just got themselves in a position where they're like, okay, we like this system and we like this system too. Let's just have both. And it's kind of a mess.
Throw it up against the wall. Let's see how they react. Just get the data and then we'll make a decision later.
I think the problem is that they can't, for me personally anyhow, they can't remove the Valor gear on vendors because of the RNG boss. Like you can always find yourself in a situation when you're just literally unable to get that drop you need. And that's when the Valor from vendors comes in. So if you're tanking and you've still got a 408 shield for some bizarre, unlucky reason that's just never dropped for you, that they need the boss they need the Valor of vendors for that. But then the Valor upgrade system is a really good idea too. But then when you've got those two systems working in parallel, and you're earning a minute fraction of the Valor you earn for doing task A that you got in the previous expansion, then you have a problem.
Blizzard, we have a problem. All right, we're going to move on and talk about some updates on the PTR. But first, I want to tell you guys about Audible. Yes, very happy to have Audible on as a sponsor for Gamebreaker TV. We got a free book and a 30-day trial with your name on it. If you guys have not checked out Audible yet, go on over to audible.com/gamebreaker. Sign up today. If you use that URL, you're going to get not only be able to use the service absolutely free for 30 days, you're going to get a free audiobook. It's awesome audiobooks on your smart device. You get the iPhone, the iPad. What are you listening to these days, Olivia? You still learning?
I recently got Where Angels Fear to Tread by E.M. Forster, which is kind of a retro book, one I really love when I read it at my first attempt at university. And Stephen Fry is reading it to me. And I've been driving all over the place recently with the holidays and everything. It's my mom's birthday this week, my birthday next week. So we're like all over the place. And it's just been in my car. And it's so good to listen to, like rather than listening to the radio and getting annoyed because they're playing that darned Justin Bieber again, you just listen to an audiobook. Listen to Stephen Fry reading you a cool story by some dude.
What's the backstory really quick? The 20-second version.
The 20-second version. Widow goes to Italy, tries to get married. Family disapprove.
That was the 3-second version. Nice.
I'm good at this. I'm good at summaries.
Check it out today. Going over to audible.com/gamebreaker. If you have not signed up yet for Audible, check it out. It's absolutely free for 30 days. You'll be charged nothing. You can cancel at any time, and you get a free audiobook. Go over, use that URL, audible.com/gamebreaker. All right, moving on. We've got some updates from the PTR. So turns out those construction workers that you've been seeing in Stormwind and Orgrimmar for 2 years now, they haven't just been slacking off, sitting around drinking beer and smoking weed. That's what construction people do.
At least not completely slacking.
At least
off.
Not completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, the construction project was only supposed to take 4 months, but the weed got to them and took them 2 years. They move a little bit slower when they're drunk and high. Like
there's dwarves just falling off the towers.
Man, you have no idea how many dwarves they went through.
Seriously, where's the union? So basically,
it was probably a union.
They had kind of a problem with unions in Stormwind in the past.
They had a health and safety issue. Someone went and verified the site and like, this ladder, nuh-uh. This, nuh-uh. No, I'm sorry.
Nope. That's going to take another 8 months. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, finally, in patch 5.2, Stormwind's front gates will be fixed, and the construction in Orgrimmar will be complete. Finally. Wonder how much they embezzled. Probably some.
That's how Garrosh Hellscream is like overthrowing the world right now. It's going to be Garrosh's gold vault at the end of the game.
What do you guys think? First up, what do you guys think of the final construction? Did they do a good job? To look all right?
Well, I kind of have something to ask the Night Elf builders in Stormwind. What's going on, guys? What's happening? Those dwarves have been doing a great job. They've made the tops of the clock towers all shiny again. They've made the turrets at the front gate all shiny again. What have you guys been up to? You haven't even put out the fires. Put the fires out. Your area of Stormwind is still on fire. Get it together, Night Elves.
Get a bucket of water.
It's in the water. Half of it is in the water, and half of it is on fire. Like, put one on
take
the other.
that bit. Put that bit over there. Done.
Fixed. Get it together.
Get it together, Night Elves.
What do you think, Josh? What do you think? How's the construction looking?
Well, I guess the completed parts look okay. It kind of was a little bit underwhelming overall. It's like, oh man, Stormwind, Orgrimmar, especially, because there's been the cranes like everywhere, all like for 2 years. And it's like, all right, finally, all this construction they've been working on for 2 years is finished. And all they did is like put some spikes on a tower. It's like, okay.
We put in more spikes.
Were you guys expecting?
Spiky enough.
Were you guys expecting more out of this whole event? Just kind of like falling a little flat.
I mean, obviously, like they talked a bunch about how it was like, oh well, we want to get it done, but art's really expensive and stuff, and we gotta be working on the new raids and stuff, which I get. Obviously, they want to make the new raids look good and everything. It's just kind of like that's it.
Well, I'm kind of like, what was wrong with the art you had before the Cataclysm?
Yeah, well, that's
maybe not for Orgrimmar because obviously different, but for Stormwind's front gates.
Well, that's kind of the thing is I went and I was like I like did a little a preview video of it for Wowhead, and I was looking. I was like, isn't this just exactly how it looked before Deathwing came here? Didn't they just kind of did finding your copy and paste buttons take this long, Blizzard? What are you doing?
They were copying and pasting it into Gunship the whole time. That was Gunship.
Now it makes so much sense.
Not that bit, Jim. We tried that before. It is kind of underwhelming. I was hoping that they would have put like a new statue or something, like a statue of my shaman for the sheer amount of times we killed Deathwing. Like, well done. You know, you did most of the work.
Here is the statue of Olivia de Grace. Directed for all of you to see. We'll have the unveiling. They should have had like a party or an unveiling or something. Some sort of like parade-esque thing.
Spend a patch with it all underneath like a big old drape or something.
Guild Wars 2 would have done that. Maybe they
Yeah.
should steal that from Guild Wars 2 because they would have done that. They would have had like a big event.
They should have just made a big old event out of it and have them like have people start protesting. Like, okay, look, you guys have been working on this for 2 years. Like, have actual NPCs like start getting mad about it. Like, why is this not fixed yet?
Like people with placards marching up and down. It's like dwarves want more pay. Get on with it.
Oh, that would have been hilarious! Like picketing
Just
and
have
shit
all
like
the workers
that.
go on strike.
Yeah, and all the dwarves are just like sitting around like, nah. You seen that ladder? Nah.
What about Stormwind Park? Still just a smoking crater?
That's it, yeah. That's the Night Owl saying it's still a hole in the ground, still on fire. It's still
on
like
fire.
they haven't even made it the effort to rebuild the bits that aren't a hole in the ground. Like there's bits that are a hole, and there's bits that are still like a sort of ramshackle, like it would be a castle if they just put some more freaking bricks in it. Is there like a brick shortage?
Yeah, that's
Just
kind of the thing. They
back a
still
truck
haven't
up
even-
and dump bricks in the hole and just be like done with it. Just have a pile of bricks. Kids can play in it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's full of like baddies that you have to go to like kill and just build the walls up again. For God's sake, lazy night owls with your moon.
They haven't even put up like caution tape, like the yellow caution
exactly.
tape. Warning,
I bet the
big
dwarves.
drop off to your own inevitable death.
That's probably why it's not been done. There was no scaffolding. That's probably it. There was no protection around the outside, and they're like, no way.
They keep
There's
trying to
no-
get it fixed, but people
This
just
is
walk off the edge and die.
The night
This
owls
is
are like,
why they need
"Ah."
unions. This is the big problem here. They need a union to come in and step in. We need health standards. All right. So
Exactly.
in other news, Blizzard, of course, is swiping more ideas from other MMOs, and this time around, yes, it's Guild Wars 2. Any guesses what it would be? Maybe action combat. I don't know. Maybe world versus world. Anyone? Maybe a game-wide auction house. Nope. It's jumping puzzles. That's right. So what are the Game Breaker community? Squishy. Thanks so much for the tip, bro.
Yeah, thanks, Squishy.
Tipped us off with a new quest on the 5.2 PTR. So basically, after it involved killing a boss, a Mogu boss for a key, and then using an object behind was a jumping puzzle. So a lot of speculation at this point. There's not a lot of quest text in there. It's not very descriptive. We don't know too much about it. I got to pick here. What do you guys think of this, though? Are you guys excited for jumping puzzles coming to World of Warcraft?
Yes and no.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think
that was
I am.
long delay. I'm not sure.
I'm excited. There you go. Look at that quest text. Isn't that brilliant? Why aren't all
Mogu
quest
boss.
texts like that? Kill a Mogul boss for key.
Reminds me of the quest.
Use object behind jumping puzzle.
There was a BRD quest way back in Classic that was like, okay, this guy wants you to go and kill this stuff. He didn't say anything, but you just kind of know that, and that was like actually just the quest text. It was amazing.
This guy wants you to kill some things. Get on
Here's
with
an
it.
actual look at the jumping puzzle here. So
Well, this is the one that Squishy found. We're not 100% certain that this is like the epitome, the zenith of the WoW jumping puzzle. But yeah, this is the one that Squishy found, which we're pretty sure aligns with that quest text.
So you guys are both mediocre on the whole situation, kind of
I'm
excited.
stoked for jumping puzzles. I have a problem, okay? In MMOs, I have a problem. When I see something, I need to get on top of it. I can't not. Like, there's a thing over there. Can I get on that? Can I please? What sort of combination of jumping around on stuff can I do to get on
World
top
of Warcraft
of that thing?
Collector's Edition? I have to get on that.
Can I get
I
on
need to
this?
be on top
Can I
of
get
this.
on this thing?
Hang on.
Yes.
Hang on. I'm getting on top of it.
Good job, Gary.
This just became an R-rated show, sir.
I I forgot to pimp. We got to give this thing away today too. We got to give. I forgot.
Woo!
I got to get on it.
There you go.
We're gonna give this away.
Get on that.
Got to get on that. Stay at the end of the show. Sorry, I diverted. Josh, you got to get on that.
Yeah, sorry, I'll get right on top of it.
Oh, you went there.
Holy crap!
No, but seriously.
Paper bag. I'm on it.
I'm on that. Gary's desk. He's on it.
He is, in fact, on it.
He is on it.
But no,
Totally
seriously,
on
like,
that desk.
jumping puzzles were what I spent the vast majority of my time on in Guild Wars 2. Like, I freaking love jumping the vistas, getting up to vistas, and be like, oh, here's this little
Yeah, it
reward
was
for
cool.
finding your way up on top of this thing.
Oh, are there
I
vistas?
love stuff
are they,
like that.
Are they doing vistas as well?
I don't think they're doing vistas in World of Warcraft. I would love vistas in World of Warcraft. But yeah, there's this thing that Squishy found. There was another there's a quest that I found just poking around on the There's another quest that I found poking around on the PTR where you like have to find, like, there's a statue that's also a dude, and you have to like find the rest of his body and all of the pieces. Yeah, you have to get on it.
You have to get on that.
Like all of his pieces are like in these random locations, like out on edges of roofs and stuff. So you got to jump around on things to actually get to it. I think it's pretty cool. Listen, I'm gonna get my sentence finished. You're not gonna stop me, Gary Gannon.
You walked into so many things in that.
I don't even care.
I don't even care. I'm jumping puzzles
I
now.
keep drinking my medicine, apparently.
You do that.
Are sick.
What do you think? What do you
I'm
think?
excited for them. I'm excited for them. If they look,
What do you
as long as they don't look like that.
Yeah, what's going to go on here? I mean, are you guys assuming that if this is you think these things are going to move up and down or something? I mean, it looks kind of flat. It doesn't really look all that exciting from here. Something's got to happen. Maybe some circular
summary.
chainsaw blades or something in between, or
So
Fire coming up through the middle, and
I'm already working on the tank spot guide to that jumping puzzle. It's going to be hold down W and press spacebar a bunch.
press spacebar repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
There you go. But
And
yeah,
that's kind of my fear.
I'm
with them.
hoping there's something more to that, because there's been like there's a little orb in the back there that looks kind of like a lightning thing that we've seen in other areas on the PTR so far, that kind of like zaps you when you get too close to it. So I'm hoping that there will be some sort of like, oh, I'm on this platform. Which platform can I hop to next? Which is the safe platform to hop to? I've got to jump around. Oh, maybe I got myself into a dead end. I've got to jump back the other way again or something. I'm hoping that there will be more to it than just hold W, press space.
But then look back
There's
at
not even an A. It's not even WA space. It's just W space.
but then look back at like, oh man, what was that? The Black Fathom Deep, Black Fathom Depths, or Black Fathom. Anyway, the dungeon which starts with Black Fathom has a jump in the middle where you sort of have to go boing, 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 and then you're in the clear.
How many
Boing, boing, boing.
Okay, thank you.
I'm glad that was clarified for you. But then, how many healers, how many DPS, how many tanks did you guys lose through those gaps?
Yeah.
WoW players might not be very good at jumping puzzles, and does that mean they're going to make them really easy, and they're going to be like a shadow of the jumping puzzles in Guild Wars 2?
Well,
I spent my entire time trying to climb up before they allowed flying.
I'd imagine they'd probably start them pretty somewhat on an easier level to just see how people do it, see how many people want to run it, and they keep running it over and over. I gotta imagine there's something a little bit more complicated to this than just hitting W and hitting space. Come on, guys, really? It
Really
cannot be just jump from pillar to pillar to pillar. That would be completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I still remember they ended up nerfing this, but there was the jump in Wailing Caverns where you like walk up and there was a cliff that goes down and you see land on the other side of it, and you're like, okay, well I can make this, and if you walk off the edge, you can't make it. No, you fall down and you die. And everyone in your group gets mad at you because you're now in a completely separate part of the instance.
It takes you 20 minutes to find them again.
Yeah.
At the moment on the PTR, you can't use flying mounts, right? So what do you think if they start putting things like this in with jumping puzzles? Do you think that kind of solidifies the fact and confirms that that's pretty much how it's gonna stay for the future? That they're not gonna allow flying mounts ever in some of these areas? No unlocking flight later.
I think at least on the Isle, the Thunder Isle, they won't allow flying mounts on the Isle. I don't think this particularly means that they're going to be like, okay guys, we added this jumping puzzle to the outside of Mogashan Vault, so now we've just disabled flying entirely in Pandaria or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure this can be taken as pretty much confirmation that you won't ever be able to fly on the Thunder King
It's
side.
pretty much pointless having jumping puzzles if you can just fly and be like, well. What about the Warlock? What about the Warlock team portal? Whatever the correct name for that is. Demonic Gateway.
Yeah, that actually doesn't work if you don't have direct line of, like, even if you can walk from that point to the other point, it doesn't work if there's like a curve. Yeah, you have to have a straight line across the ground on that thing, or else it doesn't even work. Like,
there you go.
It won't even let you go around curves. That's the thing. Like, not even like a slight curve, you can't go. Yeah, so
that one that we showed in the screenshot, it could just portal straight across though, just like from one side to the other. It's like place portal, use portal, win.
All right, we're gonna do some viewer questions. Well, no, we're not. What do we got? We got more show. I'm totally lost. More show. I'm trying to find the winner to the CE, and I'm having trouble for a second. So I'm like totally distracted. I'm like, where is his name? I can't find it. Josh Allen, you win the CE. No, just kidding. All right, just before let's do like one last quick note on the 5.2 PTR, and then we'll move on to some viewer questions. They are starting up raid testing tomorrow, Friday. First at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, they're going to test Horadon, and then later at 4 p.m. they open up Council of Elders. They're both going to be on 10-man, and they're scaling everyone's gear to a 502 item level. What do we know about these encounters so far? Do we know anything?
They actually both seem to be kind of council-ish fights. Like Horadon, just from looking around in the Dungeon Journal, it's like, okay, there's Horadon, and then there's all these other guys that he has for some reason, and that's actually
Dinomancers!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How cool does that sound? Like a Mancer that has a dinosaur.
Mancer. Josh, get on that.
Get on that, Josh. Get on that, Josh Allen.
But yeah, the Dungeon Journal is in. I haven't gone through completely the Dungeon Journal for both of these guys just yet. That's on my to-do list before testing tomorrow. But we do know at least some of the mechanics for them so far.
Yeah.
Are you guys both going to jump into testing tomorrow? Setting your calendar aside and making sure that you're in there like good legendary hosts. Yeah.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be tired, but I'm going to be there. At least for the first.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
What
10:30 a.m. Pacific.
What do you think this says for the patch timeline? Trying to guesstimate, if they're starting testing now, should be what, a couple months before actual release? What, like 2 months maybe?
It seems to kind of line up with how it's been in the past. Is they'll start raid testing, and then a couple of months later is when the patch actually comes out, which kind of lines up with what we're expecting anyway, because it's been like they've been aiming for like. What was it that Ghostcrawler said? It was like a 2-month gap for the non-raid patches, and then a 4-month gap for the raid patches, which would put the next patch for it would put 5.2 at some time in like March or early April or something like that. So yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Quite soon, eh?
What's that?
It's quite soon. It's quite quick. It's all going pretty fast. I'm gonna be interested to see if they can keep this pace up.
Keep it up.
Too quick out the gates.
Too quick. All right. One more really quick note before I give away this awesome CE. We brought up a while back the Cinder Kitten, the donations going to the hurricane relief, and Blizzard finally scraped together their pennies and forked over the cash, like good little donators. So if you guys remember, it was going to be 100% of the proceeds all went from the sale of the Cinder Kittens. Before December 31st would go to the Red Cross for Hurricane Sandy relief, and the final number actually came in at a whopping $2.3 million. Yes. So Cinder Kitten went on sale, December 10th? It was $10. Mm-hmm. So they basically sold 230,000 Cinder Kittens in the span of 21 days. When are we starting? When are we going to make a game? When are we making an MMO?
Screw making a game. When are we going to start selling digital cats?
Yeah, exactly. We need to not worry about the game and just sell digital cats.
There you go.
There we go. $10.
$10 for that cat.
That just cost the entire audience. Let's see if you go to Game Breaker TV and you scroll. Oh, by the way, have you guys seen the Cyberpunk 2077 trailer? 6. Scroll down to the bottom here and click on this donate and support us button like this. Look at this segue. You can support Game Break. This, boom, $10.
Sure.
$20. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
You
how
all
we're
owe
gonna
us $10 now.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Actually, you showed that one earlier too, so that's like $30 now.
Yeah, I should pitch that. It's gamebreaker.tv/donate. If you guys want to donate, all the proceeds go back to Gamebreaker. Not to Hurricane Sandy, just to be clear. All the proceeds go back to like Gamebreaker. Actually, they go to Sophie. They go to Sophie and a new collar. Yeah. No, they do go all back to Gamebreaker, fixing stuff, buying cameras,
diamond-studded collars.
she has one. It's all blinged out. It's not real diamonds. I'm not Rob Pardo. I don't have Cinder Kitten. I mean, let's be honest here. I don't know. It's Zarconia, whatever you call those things. All right, let's do some freaking viewer questions and get the heck out of here. So, of course, we love your viewer questions. Send them and submit at Gamebreaker TV. Keep an eye on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Gamebreaker TV. Also, don't forget to go to our YouTube page, our youtube.com/Gamebreaker Nation, which is where we kind of revolved our last giveaway around, which I'm going to do right now. Announce the winner. So get ready. Somebody give me a drum roll, please. This is for the World of Warcraft Collector's Edition signed by the entire dev team right here, right now. And let's see who won. Brandon Davis. Brandon Davis, you are the winner. Congratulations, Brandon Davis. Congratulations. I wonder if Brandon's watching in the chat room. I'll keep watching chat room. Somebody see if Brandon's in the chat room. That'd be interesting.
I'll keep an eye out.
Yes. So we have all your information. I think we've got your Facebook. We've got your YouTube channel. We've got your blood. We know where your mom lives, and we'll somehow get this to you. So I'm sure we'll figure that out. But yes, congratulations, you won. We have another one of these bad boys to give away. We'll be setting up another giveaway in the next coming weeks. So just stick around. We do have another one to give away soon. Whoa, breaking stuff. Seriously.
try not to break it before you.
That's why we need donations, because I just break shit. Like I broke that. Donation came in. Got to buy a new headphone amplifier. Let's go. All right, let's do some viewer questions and get the heck out of here. So like I said, send it to submit at Gamebreaker TV if you got a question, and we love video questions. Post it up to the YouTubes. Keep it about a minute long or so, and send us the link. We'll play it on the show. First up this week from Marlo Ramirez. Marlo says, do you think Blizzard will keep the everyone gets a legendary model and expansions to come? Or will they go back to only for certain classes model? What do you guys think? You think they're going to stick with the new or go back to the old?
There's something that, like, I would love for them to stick with something like this. Maybe refine it a little bit, but keep it to where legendaries are something that everybody works towards, everybody gets. I just think the game works better as a whole that way. There was something that Ian Hazacostas said a while back where he was talking about maybe they won't do that. So maybe they'll go back to something else. So I would like for them to stay that way, but they might do something else.
How about you, Lydia?
I don't know. I think the legendary system as was, this system removes a whole bunch of drama from legendaries for guilds. A whole bunch of drama. But I don't know. It's kind of like the sort of saying, like, if everyone's special, no one is.
Well, that's
like
the thing.
Yeah, I know. I know
no one
that's
to
the
be
thing.
special.
That's the whole
No
point.
one can be special.
No special people anymore. But I liked the old system because it was a cooperative thing, and it was a sort of like your guild worked together to get them, and that was really cool. But then I suppose that excluded a lot of people. I can totally see the downsides of it. But yeah, I think I don't like this new system as much. It makes it
all
less
right,
special.
next up from Kyle Dignan. Kyle says, you all seem quite excited at the idea, Josh especially, of StarCraft Ghost. However, if you had to pick, would you prefer a brand new IP or StarCraft Ghost? I'm assuming when he just says StarCraft Ghost, Kyle means as the MMOFPS, aka Titan, World of StarCraft Ghost, not just StarCraft Ghost in general? We kind of brought that up on the last show. That's a really hard question to answer unless you know what the other IP is.
Exactly.
Hey,
What's
the other IP is dog poop. I don't really want dog poop. Nah.
I wish I'd gone for the StarCraft Ghost option now.
Is it fair to say that I want both? I mean, he says I have to pick, but I don't want to pick.
That's lame. That's kind of lame.
No,
it's a hard question.
I want to see a new IP out of Blizzard, but I also want StarCraft Ghost. So it's like shooting my babies at this point. It's like which one of these do I like more? Which one of these do I love more?
Now I really want World of Poo. Can we just get World of
World of Poocraft?
They kind of have done that in like every expansion. there's some sort of poop quest at some point.
Yeah, there's always poop quests.
Poop bombs and throw them at fish people.
Man, if you made a poop MMO and like a browser-based poop MMO with quests and stuff, it'd be huge.
I'm sure someone's done it. Someone has to have done that.
But like a decent one with good questing, crafting system, housing maybe. Yeah, you have your poop buddies over and poop around the house and do what you do.
Do it.
My buddy,
and then we can make little poop cats and we can sell them on the internet.
There you go.
Flaming
Olivia,
poop cat.
You had to pick. Josh doesn't want to pick. What would you pick?
I would say new IP for me. I like the idea of StarCraft Ghost. I think it would be cool, but I've never been that invested in the StarCraft universe. So for me, new IP.
In my World of Poo, the legendary Rainbow Poo would be so legendary. It'd be so hard. That would be the $1,000 mount. The $1,000 mount of no, it'd be Rainbow.
I don't think we can be friends anymore, Olivia.
Okay, it's been fun.
It's like, okay, whatever. That's fine.
She's like, peace out. I'll see you.
I'll live with that.
It was nice being on your little show, Josh Allen. I'll see you sometime in the future. All right, next up from Tom Cruise, a.k.a. Toby Klein, says, with 5.2 not too far away, do you see them giving raiders a 10 to 20% buff so they can complete current content before the new raids are released? Olivia, what do you think?
That's a really hard question. I've been sort of wondering about this for quite a while because I can't see them giving them a 20% buff. That seems quite a lot. But maybe like a 10% buff for the last month of the patch. Sorry, Josh Allen's trying to balance StarCraft Ghost on his microphone. It's not really working out for him.
No.
Yaha! He saw you, Josh Allen.
Yaha!
No, Gary.
She was like a pirate there for a second. She was like, Yaha!
Yar. Yar. Yeah, no, I can't see them doing a 20%. I mean, they may not even buff it at all. Sorry, nerf the raid or buff the raiders, whichever way it is. But as far as I know, that there's a mechanic is in there already for them to do so. But I kind of have a feeling that they'll do it when 5.2 launches rather than before.
Yeah, I think if it gets towards, because they haven't started it yet, and they had the hooks in place to be able to do that. They had the back end it's there. There's a way for there's a buff that exists in like the patch files to be, or in the game files to be able to do that. They haven't started it yet, so maybe. I kind of feel like they don't really want to though, and if they don't need to, I don't think they should. So I don't know. It's interesting. They couldn't. I don't really feel strongly either way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Did you just make that, or did you find that on the internet?
It's my first asset. I just got it in from overseas. They just sent the first NPC.
Is that going to be an MMO? What's your free to play model?
Just
or is it more like a free to poop model?
Now you're talking, Josh Allen, aka Lore. Follow him on the Twitter at Devilore. Go over to tankspot.com, watch PST, the Weekly Marmot, and all that other poo that he slings week after week after week.
It's the first MMO that takes it beyond the game. It's actually something that you do in real life.
Ew.
Just don't eat the yellow snow. Olivia Grace. Follow her on Twitter at Olivia D. Grace. Come over to GameBreaker.tv and read all her amazing World of Warcraft stuff, including chat bubbles. If you guys haven't checked out chat bubbles, you must. She makes you think, and comment, and talk.
With your brain.
Yes. Follow me on Twitter at Gary Gannon. Follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. Go to Gamebreaker, youtube.com/GamebreakerNation. I couldn't think of anything funny to say right there, so.